This is the disclaimer for Wildlife Control Consultant and Pest Geek Podcast for the Living the Wildlife podcast. Always follow national, state, provincial, and local laws when using pesticides and/or other control methods to manage pests. Wildlife Control Consultant, LLC, Pest Geek Podcast, Living the Wildlife Podcast, Stephen M. Vantassel, or their or his affiliates are not responsible for followers' use of the information provided here. Hi everyone, Stephen Vantassel here, Wildlife Control Consultant, bringing another episode of Living the Wildlife Podcast as part of the Pest Geek Podcast family. So hey, we're really glad to have you on board here. Appreciate you watching today. So again, I'm still in the midst of my a class that I'm taking, and it's thankfully I'm starting to see the end of the tunnel. Or is that a train? Well, we'll have to see how that turns out. So I'm looking forward to being that over, and I've got to be able to have the time to crank out a lot more episodes. But so I can't say I'm going to make all the episodes till I finish the course, but I'm making one for this week, so bear with me. There may be a couple of weeks I'm going to be missing here, so just consider it perhaps a vacation. So I wanted to if you need to reach out to me, definitely reach me at wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. Would love to hear your feedback, some ideas for future shows. If you have a product, a service, something that you're wanting to market to our Pest Geek audience, definitely reach out to me at wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, and we'll set up a time to talk. So because part of our job here is to try to bring good nerdy information out to the wildlife control operators out here in the world, and for the pest control operators looking to do vertebrate control as well. So today isn't really about vertebrate control. I wanted to focus a little bit on something that's been a passion of mine for a very long time, and that is the importance of retirement savings. Yeah, not very popular, not very interesting, not sexy, I'm sure, but I'm just, as I'm getting up in years, I'm just concerned over the number of young people for a long time getting into the industry, not saving enough for retirement. And so here's the challenge for those of you that are self-employed. You're trying to grow your business, you're pouring money back into your business, and then, you have some free cash laying around, and, you're like, well, that gun looks really good, and, maybe I need a four-wheeler, or maybe I need a new truck, or a new toy, or something else, and you're not thinking deeply enough about whether this particular quote-unquote tool, I'll use the dreaded air quotes there, is actually going to convert into income for your business. Now, those are hard questions. You're looking at the next shiny object. Yes, again, that cash, and you're just burning a hole in your pocket. Are you saving enough for retirement? Now, for some of you, this is going to be very hard because maybe you're not making all that much money. And that's another conversation. I believe I've done a podcast on, should you be in business? Is this a hobby? Or is this a business? Nothing wrong with a hobby. If you want to have a hobby, go for it, man. You can certainly enjoy yourself doing wildlife control as a hobby. But a business is where you're trying to make a living out of it, and hopefully something better than what you would make working at McDonald's. The fact is, there's some people in this industry, not necessarily for in terms of their qualifications, it's maybe the location that they're at, that they would actually do financially better working at McDonald's than they would doing wildlife control. Now, the only reason they don't work at McDonald's is ego. So, and that's something that you have to work out because people are self-employed for a variety of reasons. And so, but if you're looking at it in terms of how you're going to retire, you've got to be looking at putting money aside for retirement. I know we just got through tax day. April 15th was a couple of days ago when I'm recording this. So we need to start thinking about 2022. Yeah, it's hard to imagine. And are you saving now? Are you saving for year 2021, which would go into your taxes for next year and that sort of thing? Are you saving now? Or are you going to be like, well, we'll see if anything's left over? If that's your attitude, you are doing this wrong. So how do I say that more clearly? Because, the point is you're not going to be 25 forever. You're not going to be in your 30s forever. You're not going to be in your 40s forever. And then when you start hitting your 50s, for many of you, not everybody, some people are blessed with bodies that endure forever. For those of us whose bodies don't, what are you going to do when your body starts wearing out? And you're going to have to make a change. So there's going to be a period of time in your business where you're really racking in money, and the question is, what are you going to do about it? So here's my suggestion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you, you've got to think about your retirement as part of your overall package. I understand from the reading that I've done, the rule of thumb is you want to be out to 10%. Now, I know 10% of your income into retirement's a lot. But don't make the perfect the enemy of the good. Let's say you can do 3%. Can you do 3% of your income into a retirement vehicle? Do it. And here's the beauty of it. Let me see if I can find this online here, if I can pull this up. The power of compounding, compound interest. All right, let's see what we can do here. Power of compounding interest. Let's see if I can do a calculator. Maybe do a compounding calculator. So let's take a look at this. This is investor.gov. All right, so here we go. We're going to have an initial investment. Let's say $1,000. All right. Not a lot of money. Okay, $1,000 isn't what it used to be. All right, and we're not gonna put anything more in. But we're going to put in, I'm going to put in, let's say you're working, you start your business that you're 25 years old. Let's make it 27 just to make it convenient, because a lot of you are going to be retiring at 60, 67. Some of you may be 68, but let's go 67. So 27 to 67. So we're at 37, 47, 57, 6. That's 40 years. All right. So we're going to do 40 years. And we're going to do our estimated interest rate. I'm going to go very conservative. The stock market's average has been about 7 to 8%. I'm going to go at 5%. All right. And I'm going to have it compounded monthly. See how much you got. All right, so you just put in $1,000 one time at 25 years old. You're going to have $7,358 in 40 years. Not spectacular. No, not spectacular. But I want to show you something about the difference. So I want you to have that burned in your, see how that curve goes up? So in 40 years, you're going to have that much money. Now look what happens if you do the following. All right, so let's go back and do this again. We're doing the same $1,000. This time it's going to be over 20 years, because maybe you waited till you were 45 to start saving. Same thing, compounded monthly. We're going to calculate that. Notice the difference. Half the amount of time, but you're getting less than half the amount of money. $2,700 rather than over $7,000. Now imagine if you're putting in $1,000 at 25, $1,000 at 26, $1,000 at 27, and then maybe when you hit 30, you're able to put in $2,000. I think you get where I'm going here. And then you have that 40 years or almost 40 years, because time matters. The earlier you can start saving for your retirement, the better. You need less money because you have the power of compounding interest. Compounding interest is where the interest is put back into the principal, and then the new interest is on the interest that you had before and the principal that you have. So it tends to snowball over time, but you need time for that to happen. What happens is too many people save late in their life, and they don't have that time value. Then if the stock market crashes, if you're investing in the stock market, I'm not telling you to invest in stock market. I'm not telling you what to invest in. I'm telling you that you need to start saving for your retirement. I'll talk a little bit about some ways you can go about it here shortly. And this is something you want to discuss with people that are qualified, and also you need to get educated, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you need to be investing sooner. So those of you who are starting off young in your 20s, I'm begging you. I know that truck is awesome and it's shiny and you want to do, and you'll look really cool in it, and I get it. But you have got to start putting money away now in your retirement so that you'll have something when you're into your 60s plus. Do it. All right, so enough about compound investing. All right, so let's go back to what can you do? What are the different ways you can save for retirement? Well, I'm not going to list all of them per se, but there's a lot of great helps online. Here's one. This is called the nerdwallet.com. They have an article here on retirement plan options for the self-employed. This is something you can certainly look into. Again, that's NerdWallet. Spell it just like it sounds, NERDWALLET. You can simply do a search online, using DuckDuckGo, do a search saying retirement options for the self-employed. If you're not self-employed, then say retirement options for the employed. Maybe the company you're working for has a 401k plan, maybe it has a sort of retirement program. But if it doesn't, you'll be able to use an IRA. So let's talk about what some of these vehicles are. A retirement vehicle is the way the government says you can put money into this program where you will avoid taxes as it's growing. So you don't have the government coming in taking your money away from your retirement until you start taking it out at the other end. If you invest in a non-retirement vehicle, the government gets a piece of your income every time you either collect interest or you collect a dividend payment. But when you're in a retirement vehicle, the government doesn't touch the return on investment that you have until you remove it from that retirement account. That's what we mean by an investment vehicle. It's just sort of a legal shield for the money you're putting in, so that the government's not taking a piece of that until you retire. The government's going to get their bite of the apple. It's just going to be when the apple's a lot bigger and when you start taking it out. Okay? So the first one we're going to talk about is an IRA. It's called an individual retirement account. This is available for there's different restrictions on it if you're making too much money and this sort of thing, but an individual retirement account, for some people, it allows you to actually reduce your taxable income. So the government gives you a break by putting money into it. So if your tax rate's 28%, the federal tax rate at 28%, the government basically has paid you 28 cents on the dollar for you to put money aside for your retirement, because you don't have to pay that taxes. You're going to pay that 28 cents if you keep it. So that means you're only going to get, about $700 and change. But if you put it into your retirement vehicle, your IRA, the government says we're going to not tax you on that $1,000. So you can lower your taxable income. You have to have earned income, however. You have to have money. You have to have worked for it. Another option for you is a Roth. A Roth IRA, you don't get any tax advantage with it on the front end, but on the back end, the government doesn't tax you for any of the earnings you earned on that. So for the IRA, when you start taking money out, the government will tax you for it. But with the Roth, you don't get any tax advantage now. In other words, it doesn't lower your income now, but there's no taxes on the other end. That's a Roth. Those of you who are having a good self-employment business, you can look into something called the self-employment pension. It's called a SEP, self-employment pension, a SEP. And you can put in a lot more money with a SEP. Now, if you have employees, if If you're incorporated and you have maybe a sub S, you have employees, you have to do something for them as well. You can't just simply have your own retirement plan with your self-employment and not do something for your employees. And you probably should be thinking about what to do for your employees here, because that can also help retain them in your company better. So those are 3 options for you. There are others, but those are 3 options for you to consider. So how do you move forward with this? Well, you can do some of this on your own if you wish. You can call a financial brokerage firm. I'm going to name some big ones. I'm not making any money. You can talk to Fidelity. You can talk to Schwab. You can talk to E-Trade and that sort of thing. And that is a way for you to earn, to get into this retirement program, one of these retirement investment vehicles for your own self, and they will set it up. Usually there's a small fee, an annual fee to have them manage it, but it's certainly available to you as that. If you don't want to be dealing with it, perhaps you're tech friendly, you may want to look into something, as I pull it up here. Acorns. Yeah, it sounds just like, oak acorns. Acorns is an app that you can use, and they have different types of retirement programs. So I'm going to, put that up into the camera here. Acorns. I have an Acorns account, if that means anything to you. Acorns allows you to save in a couple of different ways. You can have it attached to your credit card, so that every time you swipe your credit card, if there's a difference, like usually there's some change on there, it'll round that up to the nearest dollar or higher, depending on how you set it up, and then it will take that money and put it into a savings account for you, or an investment type vehicle for you. If you want an IRA, if you want a retirement account with it, there's an additional process to do that, and they will show you how to set that up. I don't make any money off Robinhood, but it's kind of neat, and you can actually tell it to take money from your account, from your bank account, on a weekly basis. You can do $5, you can do $10 a week. So what happens is it just sort of takes it out a little bit at a time. The idea is with little acorns you can grow a big oak. That's the idea. So think about it. Every time you're purchasing something for your company or for yourself, depending on how you set up, which credit card you set it up with, you're having a little bit of money. And so it disciplines you to save incrementally without feeling the pinch of writing a check for $500, writing a check for $1,000, something like that for your retirement. And it's amazing how fast things can add up, particularly if you have the add-ons where you have a certain amount of money going into your account on a weekly basis. And I think they have monthly as well. I do weekly, but it's a very painless way, and it's amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm saving this much money right now. And if you need your money back out, you can get it out. But again, in your retirement vehicle, if you're putting in your retirement vehicle, you take it out, you're going to get taxed on it, and taxed hard. Okay, so the money you put away for your retirement needs to be think of it like you flushed it down the toilet. You haven't, but you need to feel like it's gone. And you're going to come back and visit it again when you're retired. So those are some very simple ways to do some savings for yourself, to get some retirement vehicles set up for yourself. How do you learn more about investing and retirement and what to do there? So let me give you some tips. These have been some publications that have been helpful to me. They're written to be very easily understood, and I would encourage you to pick up one of the copies of them. So Money Magazine, pretty straightforward. It's a magazine that comes out monthly. It's well worth the while. They will give you suggestions on how to diversify your accounts, give you investing options. They'll also teach you about different ways to save for your retirement and also do other types of investing. Read. Just if you can afford that, go to the library. A lot of your local libraries will have Money Magazine, or it's a competitor magazine called Kiplinger's magazine. Kiplinger, Kiplingers, Kiplinger's Money Investment Magazine. So either one of those is fine. You can probably get them pretty cheap in terms of subscriptions. Look it up online, get a copy of it. It is well worth your while. For those of you that are looking for something more deep, perhaps you already have a basis, a good basis in financial planning for yourself in terms of, as a layperson, you can look at the American Association of Individual Investors. Their magazine's a little bit more, well, I should say it's a lot more technical for someone who is a little bit more skilled in the stock market. They do a lot of stuff on stocks, but they'll talk about bonds as well. They'll talk about diversification and asset allocation and all this sort of stuff. That is but you don't subscribe to that magazine until you're very comfortable with investing in retirement and that you've been putting some time into it. Now, you don't have to. I'm not telling you that you have to do this. It's not necessary to do it. There is another option for you because time is money. Maybe it's better for you not to be reading this magazine. Maybe it's better for you to be out on a roof putting on another, taking care of a ridge cap or something, or putting on a chimney cap, making money. So this is where you want to get someone who's known as a financial planner. You want to get someone who's a certified financial planner, someone who's got a fiduciary responsibility to give you quality advice. Fiduciary means that they're legally bound to give you objective advice. Now, there are associations out there of certified financial planners that are fee only. And so let's kind of do a little Google search for that. All right, we're going to go fee only financial planner. So here we go. Let's get down here. Here we have NAPFA. We're going to pull this up. What is fee only financial planning? Okay. So it explains what that is. Why do you want fee only financial planning? Because then that person does not make any money on the investments you put in. Because when you talk to a broker, they're going to steer you into investments where they can get a commission, or they'll get a percentage of whatever the amount of money you have under their financial control. Now, look, people got to get paid for their advice and for their work, right? But understand that fees do eat into your income over time. So when you're a starting investor, paying $500 for someone to do a financial analysis of you and provide you a financial plan, that may sound like a lot, but when you think about $500 over 40 years, which is how long that plan may last you for a very long time, maybe last you for 10 years, maybe, depending on how your financial situation changes or fluctuates. That's not a lot of money. It's, what's we talking, $50 a year? It's not a lot. Where if you're doing a fee only, whether you're doing a percentage, let's say you have $40,000 in a retirement account and they're taking 1% a year. That kind of just keeps chewing away at your return. So there are ways for you can calculate that. So I would suggest a fee-only financial planner. You want someone who's a certified financial planner, CFP. That takes a lot of training on their part. It's a rigorous exam that they have to go through. So it's something to think about. Or you can, if you don't want to pay that kind of money, talk to your broker. Your broker, if you go to one of the major brokerage firms, Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, they'll have financial planners in there as well. Sometimes your local bank will have one, but they'll be probably on a little bit more of the pricier side. However, there are ways to get this information because once you're starting out, you want to be sure you start understanding and getting this retirement program started. Definitely want to do this. I can't recommend it enough. And I can guarantee you when you're getting into your 50s, you're going to be thinking of me saying, either I'm glad I listened to Steven at this point, or oh my God, I'm such an idiot for not listening to him. And this is important. I know it's not sexy. It's not something that people love to think about, but you've got to start saving for your retirement. The earlier you do it, the better. It's that important. So I hope you're going to definitely do that this year. I hope you're going to start that program. I hope you're going to be thinking about how you're going to save for retirement. Don't get so overwhelmed in your business that you're constantly pouring cash into your business that you're not taking some of that out for yourself to plan for your future. This is a business that beats your body up. You've got to have a plan when the money is flush. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? You're going to buy that shiny new truck. You're going to get that gun. You're going to buy all those traps, whatever the case may be, and ask yourself the question, is this going to help me in retirement later on? Is it really? Pencil stuff out. Be thinking about what your capital expenditures are, because part of your wages needs to be for retirement. And I know it's tough, but do something. Save somehow, because the time value of money, that compounding interest, can really make up for small amounts. The later you wait, the more you have to save. So a financial planner will also talk to you about whether you need life insurance, what type of health insurance you have, what type of disability insurance you have, protecting you from catastrophic loss. And again, that gets us a little bit beyond the retirement stuff. But that financial planner can really go a long way for you in terms of helping putting your financial house in order. And I would suspect those of you that are married, your spouses will deeply appreciate what you're doing for them, because the fact of the matter is if something goes wrong, where's the income going to be coming from? So these are definitely some things for you to think about. All right. Well, I'm Stephen Vantassel. I'm owner of Wildlife Control Consultant. This is the Living the Wildlife podcast as part of the Pest Geek podcast family. We're glad that you listened. Hope this has been helpful for you. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. Love to hear from you, your ideas for different topics for shows, criticisms, comments, praise. Love to get all of that to you. If you want to be on the show, maybe you have a technique you want to share, or perhaps a product or service that you're trying to sell. We'd love to have you on the show. Definitely reach out to me at wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. And remember, we want you to live the wildlife, not be the wildlife. Take care, everybody.